So we continue our discussions from Bhagavad Gita. So we proceed to start fifth chapter today. Fifth chapter, which is known traditionally as Karma Sannyasa Yoga, or also known as Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. So just a minute. Yes. So chapter 5, Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. So let's see the contents of this chapter now. Text 1. Arjuna Uvacha Sannyasam Karmanam Krishna Punaryogam Cha Shamsasi Yachreya Yetayorekam Tanme Bruhi Sunishchitam. Yes, please read now the translations for about 10 verses. Whoever is reading, going to read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Should I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu. Nobody else wants to read. You also read yesterday, right? So someone else should volunteer.
Yes.
No? Shri Padambuj Prabhu, yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam, Prabhuji.
Dandot Pranam, Prabhu, yes.
Arjuna said, "O Krishna, first of all, you asked me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?"
Yeah, thank you. So, see, the beginning of chapter 5 is also like beginning of chapter 3. In chapter 3 also, Jayasi chet karamanaste mata buddhir janardana tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. So similar question is being asked by Arjuna in the beginning of chapter 5 also. So why is this that although Krishna is not speaking any equivocal words, Arjuna keeps on misunderstanding and thinking that Krishna is speaking in a way that it's difficult to know which one is better. He's not speaking in an unequivocal manner. So that is because, see, Krishna speaks and he is speaking Nishkam Karma Yoga, but he is also speaking about Jnana Yoga. So he keeps on speaking about these two paths, right? From second chapter onwards, you must have seen he speaks about Karma Yoga, which is Nishkam Karma Yoga. But then he spoke about the symptoms of Sthita Prajna. So that is actually someone who is perfected that process and he's a Jnani. He is a Siddha by that process. Also, Krishna speaks about in third chapter also verses like Yatsu Atmaratire Vasyat Atmatraptascha Manavaha. So for such a person, tasya karyam na vidyate, atmanneva cha santushtah tasya karyam na vidyate. He says that आत्मरति जो लोग हैं उनके लिए तो कार्य नहीं है कोई. यत्सु आत्मरतिरेव स्याद आत्मतृप्तः. If you are satisfied within, then tasya karyam na vidyate, then you don't have any duty to perform. So that is now speaking about people who are jnanis. So here also in the fourth chapter, he glorified jnana so much, no? There is so much glorification of jnana. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. The sacrifices that are the greatest, they are basically jnana yajna. That sacrifice is the greatest. Dravya yajna nahi. Dravya yajnat, the he says Dravya Yajna, Tapo Yajna, but Tapo Yajna and all better than that is actually Jnana Yajna, like that. Because, yeah, Sarvakhilam, Karmakhilam Sarvam Jnane Parisamapyate. Finally, everything should lead to Jnana, he is saying. So he keeps on glorifying Jnana also, right? Although he's clear that because Nishkam Karma Yoga also leads to Jnana, so that's what he wants Arjuna to do. But you can see that he keeps on these two tracks speaking about this. Yoga Sanyasta Karmanam, Jnana Sanchinna Samshayam. In the last chapter also, last two verses also they seem to be talking about two different things. So, someone who is Jnana Sanchinna Samshayam, his doubts are cut asunder by the knowledge, and one who is renounced the activity. So such person is never bound by any karma. But then again, Krishna says, so that's why get up, arise, and fight. Yoga Matishtha, Uttishtha Bharata. So rise and fight. So after hearing so much of glorification of jnana process, then Arjuna, he gets this idea that actually one who is jnani, one who is situated on that platform, he doesn't have to act. Tasya karyam na vidyate, no activity. So why is Krishna again telling me to act? Uh, So that's the point. For Arjuna, as soon as he hears jnana, it means inaction. And as soon as he hears fighting, it means action, which is causing the bondage. But Krishna is not recommending anything like this. He is recommending action also, and he is recommending the knowledge, jnana also. So he is telling to combine the action and knowledge. And what is that path that combines action and knowledge? Shri Padambuj Prabhu. What is that path which combines action and knowledge as per Krishna? Yeah.
Prabhu, combination of knowledge and action.
Yes. So what is that path?
Yeah,
Combination.
I think in second chapter we read about Buddhi Yoga, Prabhuji. Is that the correct answer? That
Correct. So what is Buddhi Yoga? By
yeah,
Buddhi Yoga, what does that mean?
that is a combination of Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga, Prabhuji.
Hmm. Okay. Uh, See, Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga, are you sure? Krishna is saying to combine Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Anyone else? What is Krishna telling?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
It is the combination of action and knowledge is basically devotional service. That is, as you said, work in devotion. So, whatever work we do for Krishna and in the service of Krishna, that work the Lord is instructing Arjuna to do the work in that mood that he is doing for Krishna.
Yes. So, is that the only path, devotional service, or is there any other path? Is there
Also,
any
Prabhuji,
other path?
Nishkama Karma Yoga.
Nishkama Karma Yoga. Okay, yeah. Actually, Krishna is recommending Nishkam Karma Yoga. He recommends bhakti after some time, later chapters, but right now he's recommending Arjuna Nishkam Karma Yoga. That is it. That's the right answer. Okay, fine. So Arjuna is confused because of this. although Krishna speaks about Nishkam Karma Yoga clearly, but he also speaks about jnana. Yat shreya yat etayorekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. So that's why don't you speak, my Lord, one thing? Uh, whatever is the shreya, whatever is the perfect, you speak about that one thing. He is saying. So, first of all, you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion, like that. See, I'm sure if if for many of you, Bhagavad Gita may be a little difficult to understand because there are two parallel tracks going on in Bhagavad Gita. So that's why I think many of you may find it a little difficult. Uh, so those of you who understand it, it's fine. For others, yes, you can take the plain meaning as okay, as what is there in the purport or what's there in the translation. See, Krishna keeps on speaking in this chapter about Nishkam Karma Yoga. And that Nishkam Karma Yoga, Prabhupada translates as Bhakti Yoga. Because Bhakti Yoga also includes the characteristic of Nishkam Karma Yoga. That way. So Krishna is recommending certainly Bhakti Yoga, but he's recommending after some time. He's recommending it in chapter 7, 6, 7, 8, and all like that. But I told you that Prabhupada's strategy is like this, that what Krishna is recommending later, Prabhupada starts recommending right from second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter. That's how. So that's why wherever yoga word comes, no, actually that yoga is talking about Nishkam Karma Yoga at this point of time. Because Krishna is not speaking so much about bhakti in these chapters, except very few section, little bit here, there, like Neha Bikramana Shastri, there he spoke about bhakti and all, little bit. Otherwise, rest of it is all Nishkam Karma Yoga only. But because Bhakti Yoga's characteristic also matches, or rather Nishkam Karma Yoga is included within Bhakti Yoga. So, in that way, devotion in action, and that meaning can also be taken, and which you can take it, because I am sure it might be difficult for you to understand both the tracks this way. So, no issues. Yes, work in devotion, yogam cha shamsasi. So, Krishna is not recommending Arjuna to actually give up the battlefield and run away to the forest. Go to the forest. That would be karma sannyas. He is instead recommending Arjuna karma yoga, and that he should fight like that. So that's why what I feel is, here. So that's the reason actually why Arjuna, he keeps on getting confused, because Krishna speaks about fighting, but he also glorifies the jnana. So jnana aspect is glorified, means Arjuna feels inaction, but Krishna does not mean inaction. He means actually the path of Nishkam Karma Yoga, where there is knowledge, but there is also action in this way. So then that's why Arjuna asks him that please speak to me one thing. You can see Prabhupada also addresses this confusion, why Arjuna gets confused. So Prabhupada says in second chapter, the knowledge, preliminary knowledge of the soul was explained, and then Buddhi Yoga or devotional service, that also was explained. In the third chapter, it was explained that a person who is situated on the platform of knowledge no longer has any duties to perform. And that same verse we talked about. Yastu atmaratireva syad manav. And in the fourth chapter, Lord told Arjuna all kinds of sacrificial work culminate in knowledge. This also we saw. Sir, karma khilam jnane parisamapyate. However, at the end of fourth chapter, Lord advised Arjuna to wake up and fight, being situated in perfect knowledge. So in this way, simultaneously, he's stressing about the importance of work in devotion, and in action in knowledge. So that's why Arjuna wants to know what is better. Arjuna understands that renunciation in knowledge involves cessation of all kinds of work. But if one performs work in devotional service, then how is work stopped? Right? So for him, renunciation means stopping all activities. But if you work with devotion, how do you're not stopping activities. So then he's asking that, how is it renunciation? How is it renunciation in knowledge? So Bhagavan answers, Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Sanyasah karma yogascha nishreyasa karabhubhau tayostu karma sanyasat karma yogo vishishyate. Yes.
The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work.
Yeah. So you can see Krishna spoke that there is sannyas and there is karma yoga. So karma sannyas, karma yoga. One is the path of renouncing the activities, another is the path of doing the prescribed duties as per Varnashrama. And both of them are going to give Nishreyas, which means liberation. But still, better than karma sannyas, that is better than jnana yoga, is karma yoga. Karma yoga vishishyate. Karma yoga is better. Meaning, working in devotion, that is better than karma sannyas, he is saying. Instead of giving up everything and going away in the forest, it's better to work with devotion. So this is the point. He is giving very clearly that out of the two, which one is better. This way. Fruitive activities are cause of material bondage. As long as one is engaged in activities aimed at improving the standard of bodily comfort, one is sure to transmigrate to different types of bodies, thereby continuing material bondage perpetually. So Prabhupada quotes verses from 5th canto, Rishabdev's teaching, that as long as one remains in the bodily consciousness, we see that the living entity remains defeated. Parabhavastavad jato. Till the point we don't come to the Atma Tattva, we don't understand that we are not body, we are spirit, soul. So all the activities that we do, they remain actually material and they cause the defeat. But when one comes to this aspect of understanding of I am not body, I am spirit, soul. So at that level, we see that that is the real platform. So on that level, working in devotion becomes very important. Not that, okay, I'm not body, I am spirit, soul, so I don't have to do anything. Everything is acting, everything is basically actions on the bodily level. Not like that. So one that time wants to utilize his body, mind, words, everything in Krishna's service. Isn't it? Right? If everything we understand is Krishna's service, so we should utilize everything in Krishna's service, isn't it? You remember we gave that example of wallet. So if someone loses the wallet on street, so then someone may, three kinds of responses. One may pick up the wallet for himself and walk away. Another one may think, oh, it's not mine, so I don't care. I leave it. And third one, he finds out, okay, whose wallet is that? And then calls up that person and then delivers that wallet to him. So we know that the third person, that's the best response. So similarly, in the material world, when we understand that everything is Krishna's, so we should engage it in Krishna's service. So not like you just renounce everything and Don't say that, oh, this material world is Maya, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. Not like that. So work in devotion is better. Krishna is saying, not just leaving everything. In Vaishnava path, even if somebody leaves everything, that is to dedicate full time in Krishna's service. That's the point. Otherwise, you may ask the question, why are devotees taking sannyas in bhakti then? Is that also condemned? No, that is not condemned, because here we are saying that mere renunciation of work is not good. But if someone takes a Vaishnava sannyas or like that, the purpose of that is so that you can engage all your energy in Krishna's service. And you can also preach the message to others. You can engage others also. That's the purpose. So that's why, you understand, there are two things. There is renunciation of work and there is work in devotion. So out of which obviously work in devotion is better. Krishna is saying that very clearly. In fact, Prabhupada writes very nice line. He says, one should understand that factually nothing belongs to anyone. Then where is the question of renunciation? See, if it does not belong to you, then what is the point saying I renounce? Like that. Suppose I go in front of the house of Mr. Ambani in Mumbai, and I stand in front of his house and I say, I renounce this house. So people will say, who is this mad person then? It never belonged to you. So what is this renunciation? So similarly, the material world, it never belongs to us. So what is this renunciation so-called? So if at all we have to renounce something, we have to only renounce the illusion that we have something to renounce. That's it. Nothing else. The only thing that we have to renounce is that we have something to renounce. This illusion that we have something to renounce. Actually, everything belongs to Krishna and it should be utilized in service of Krishna. So that's why work in devotion is better. Shneyah sa nitya sannyasi yona dveshti na kankshati nirdvandvo hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchyate. Yes.
One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. O mighty Arjuna.
So know that one who neither hates or desires the fruits of activities, one who works with detachment. Like in bhakti, we don't hate the fruits of actions or we don't desire the fruits of action also. We want all the fruits of actions for Krishna. We don't want for ourselves. Like now book distribution is coming up, or maybe it's already started in many places. So we are doing book distribution. So naturally, we want that some result should come by book distribution. So is that result for oneself? Do we desire the result for ourselves or do we hate the result? We neither desire the result for ourselves, nor do we hate the result. We want the result for Krishna's seva, Krishna's pleasure, isn't it? So such a person is always renounced, no? No. If we want the result for oneself, oh, if I distribute these many books, then everybody will say, Wah, 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 Prabhuji ki jai, Mataji ki jai. So that's actually desiring result for oneself. Nobody would desire the result of the money that is coming from book distribution. That anyway, one will submit it to the department, book distribution department. But one may be subtly desiring the fame, actually. Uh, People should know that I did 100 books. Rebol, rebol, rebol. So, one who neither hates nor desires the fruits. And that is also fruit, right? One is a gross fruit, another is subtle fruit. Puja, love, pratishtha. Name, fame, glory. Same old story, isn't it? So, what is being said over here is someone who neither hates nor desires the fruits, but still is enthusiastic to work. It's not that a devotee, because he does not want the fruits for himself, or he does not hate the fruits, so he's not enthusiastic to distribute books. It's not like that. He is most enthusiastic because he wants the fruits for Krishna, for Krishna's pleasure, devotee's pleasure. Uh, So that's why that is best. So you should know that such a person is Nitya Sannyasi. He is actually sannyasi only because he has renounced the fruits of actions. Uh, Nirdvandho hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchyate. So such person is beyond the dualities. Sometimes in the book distribution we may get huge success. Sometimes we may not get huge success. But still nirdvandho, we still remain enthusiastic. When Krishna gives great success, we are happy. When Krishna doesn't give great success, then also we are grateful to him because he's making us humble. He's making us more prayerful. That actually I think myself to be very great, but you see, I cannot convince anyone. So one will become humble. uh, Unless until Krishna, who is within the heart of that devotee, he inspires, we see that will not be able to transform a person's heart. So that's why we see that a person who is acting in this manner, he is actually Nitya Sannyasi, Krishna is saying. वो तो नित्य सन्यासी है ऐसा व्यक्ति. हाँ. Prabhupada, one who is fully in Krishna consciousness is always a renouncer because he feels neither hatred nor desire for the results of his actions. So he is actually dedicating everything to transcendental loving service of the Lord in this way. So this is the best platform to act actually. We don't have to be attached to the fruits like karma kandis, and we don't have to be renouncing all action by saying, "Oh no, I don't. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya." So I don't engage in any action. Like these jnanis are there. So we should act on the platform of bhakti, where we act in devotion. Sankhya yoga prathak bala pravadanti na panditaha ekamapyasthita samyak ubhayor vindate phalam. Yes,
Only
Prabhuji.
the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both.
So Sankhya yoga पृथक बाला प्रवदंती न पंडिता. सांख्य और योग ये दोनों पृथक है, ऐसे बालिश लोग बात करते हैं, पंडित लोग नहीं करते ऐसी बात. सो दिस सांख्य, Krishna means jnana yoga, and yoga he means karma yoga. So it's not that karma yoga and jnana yoga are different. Arjuna is considering them to be very different. No, he considers that karma yoga means path of Nishkam Karma Yoga is the path of bondage. Dhyana Yoga is the path of liberation. But Krishna is saying, no, these are not two different paths. Uh, those people who renounce everything for the sake of self-realization, uh, and those who work in devotion, they are actually pursuing the same goal very clearly. Ekamapyasthitah samyak ubhayor vindate phalam. So even if one takes one of these paths, one actually gets the result of both the paths. How it is, we have to see, understand carefully. But yes, self-realization is the goal of both the paths, whether one is taking the path of jnana or one is taking the path of Nishkam Karma Yoga, or as Prabhupada says, devotional service. Sankhya Yogo पृथक बाला न सांख्य और योग ये पृथक नहीं है, नहीं है बिल्कुल. So by the process of analytical study, which is Sankhya, one wants to find out the soul of the existence or the root of the existence. And by process of bhakti, we want to serve the root of that existence. So Prabhupada gives a nice example. He says one process is to find the root of the tree and the other is to water the root. So those who are jnanis, they are searching by studying Vedanta and all that, they are searching to find the root of the tree. While a bhakta is actually watering the root. He is not so much searching for the root because you know that the root is there in the ground. If I just water around the root, if I just water around the root, so then that should serve the purpose, right? So this is what is the point. So jnana and bhakti, as Prabhupada is comparing, they're looking for the same goal of self-realization. But bhakti, you can see that it is one step ahead of jnana because it's not only just searching for the Lord Vishnu, analyzing Lord Vishnu, but serving Lord Vishnu also. But as far as the goal, which is Lord Vishnu, that remains in the both the processes. So in that sense, Krishna is saying Sankhya and Yoga, they are not different. Like that. Actually, Sankhya and Nishkam Karma Yoga are not different. If you compare it with Bhakti, Bhakti is certainly higher than Sankhya. But as far as Sankhya and Nishkam Karma Yoga, they're absolutely not different because both of them have the goal of Brahman realization or Mukti this way. So in that sense. But even you take the meaning of yoga here as devotional service, that's how Prabhupada is doing. Still it can be understood, right? One process is to water the root, another process is to find out the root. So both are looking for the root. In that sense, it is actually one process that way. But bhakta is certainly higher because bhakta is not only like if a tree is there, so you know that okay, the roots of the tree, you want to find out how long they have gone and all. That's okay. One can find out, but more important thing is to water the root, right? Water the root of the plant or that particular tree, whatever. Make sure that the tree has enough water. So that's what is the process of bhakti, where we want to water that root and serve. Watering here means serving the root, serving Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna in this way. So that's why. See, those who do not know the ultimate end say that the purposes of Sankhya and Karma Yoga are not the same. But one who is learned knows the unifying aim in these different processes. Yat Sankhya prapyate sthanam तद्योगैरपि गम्यते एकम सांख्यम च योगम च यः पश्यति स पश्यति. Yes, Prabhu.
One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are.
Yeah. Yat sankhyaih prapyate sthanam tad yogairapi gapyate. So that place or that destination which is achieved by Sankhya, that can also be achieved by yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga. So Sankhya, which means Jnana Yoga, and Nishkam Karma Yoga, they are on one only, Ekam, Yah Pashyati Sapashyati. One who sees like this, uh, he is the one who actually sees. That's the point. The real purpose of philosophical research is to find the ultimate goal of life. Since the ultimate goal of life is self-realization, there is no difference between the conclusions reached by the two processes. So both of the processes have one common goal called as self-realization. Whether it is Sankhya or it is working in devotion, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, like that, isn't it? So that's why it is said to be equal only. It is said to be same only. Prabhupada clarifies further. In the first process, Sankhya, one has to become detached from matter. And in the devotional yoga process, one has to attach himself to the work of Krishna consciousness. Factually, both processes are the same. Although superficially one process appears to involve detachment and the other process appears to involve attachment. So, self-realization is the common goal. By the process of jnana, one wants to be detached, and by process of bhakti yoga, one wants to be attached to Krishna. So, jnani's focus remains on what? On becoming detached from the world. Like he sees the things of the world and he says, no, this is actually, I'm not interested in this. I'm interested in Brahman. I'm interested in Mukti. So he sees the things of this world and he wants to draw his attention away from those things. He sees them as temporary things in which he should not invest his consciousness. That is what he thinks. While in bhakti, we just don't want to be detached. We also want to be attached to Krishna. So in bhakti, just thinking that, I should become free from lust, I should become free from greed, I should become free from pride and anger. That should not be the only goal. The goal should be also how much I am becoming attached to Krishna, attached to devotees of Krishna, how much I am serving Krishna and pleasing the devotees this way. Otherwise, we will have that jnani kind of tendency. If you are not focusing on service aspect, sadhana aspect, shravanam, kirtanam, all that aspect, then it will be like jnani people, those who are only interested in becoming detached, but they don't want to hear anything about Krishna or they don't want to serve Krishna. So that's why we should not run away from the service. We should not also run away from the opportunity to hear Bhagavatam, opportunity to discuss Bhagavatam. We should be very much interested in these positive activities of bhakti, like that. Otherwise, we may be having that sort of jnani kind of tendency where we want to become detached from the world, but we don't want to invest our consciousness in Krishna. Our process is very simple. Our process is we try to fill up our mind so much with Krishna that there is no place for Maya. Like that. Like you remember when I was there in Kuwait, Kanai Desh, I gave that example. If in a room we bring in so many people, just like so many devotees come inside, then someone who is against devotees, or someone who does not like so much devotees, what will happen? Such a person will automatically go out. अरे बोले कितने लोग आ रहे हैं? One who is not happy with devotees, such a person will leave. Why? Because he's seeing too many people are coming, or they're coming only, coming only. So he'll say, okay, let me go out. I don't want to be here. So the example shows that's how the material desires leave our mind if we crowd them out through bhakti desires. So if you take various resolutions that I will read Bhagavatam daily for this much time, or I will read scripture, like whatever, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, whichever you are reading, then I will also render service, I will do some deity worship, I will chant my rounds, I will also speak Krishna Katha. So if you take all these positive things, and fill up your mind with this, then you see the negative things have to go out, how can they reside there? They will move out because you are crowding them out. I had also given that example of vacuum. It's very difficult to create vacuum in some bulb or something. But if you just fill it up with another noble gas, so what happens? The air comes out. So you have got rid of all the air. So this is the point. One process appears to involve detachment and the other process appears to involve attachment. So this is actually that subtle aspect of difference is there. But because the purpose is self-realization, so it is in one way, process is the same. This way. So Jnani is not attached to Krishna. Jnani is basically detached from the material world. That's it. And he wants to merge in Brahman. But a devotee is not only detached from the material world, but he's also attached to Krishna. So that positive attachment is very, very important. We should not just understand that this is Maya, but we should also understand that I have to serve devotees, I have to please devotees, I have to develop attraction for Krishna and Krishna's glory. So I have to act on those points also. So this is why sannyasasthu mahabaho dukkhamapto mayogatah yoga yukto munir brahma nachirenadhikachati. Yes, Prabhu.
Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord, cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without a delay.
So just taking some sannyas and staying away from the world, somewhere in the forest, such a person becomes miserable. Because अयोगतः, अयोग, अयोग की वजह से, योग और अयोग, योग मीन्स एंगेजमेंट, कनेक्शन, union, plus ayog means minus, disconnection. So because such a person, he is away from the devotees, away from Krishna, and he's only thinking about getting free from all the contamination. He's not thinking about anything positive. So it's a path of little distress, dukkham. It causes distress actually. Krishna also says in 12th chapter, klesho diktarastesham avyakta satta chetasam avyakta he gatir dukkham dehavadhir avapyate. So the path of impersonal oneness, the path where only detachment is to be practiced, it's not that easy. It is actually klesha. It's a lot of trouble. But on path of bhakti, it is so nice, no, because it has its positive, it has its positive aspect of Nam Roop, Guna Leela, Krishna, Kirtan, Prasadam, devotees, so nice. Uh, Yoga Yukto Munir Brahma Nachirena Adhikachati. So on one hand, the path of detachment or Jnana Yoga, it has that distress aspect because of one not having very positive kind of engagement. But on other hand, Bhakti Yoga, somebody's following, then such a person soon achieves the perfection. There are two classes of sannyasis or persons in the renounced order of life. The Mayavadi sannyasis, they engage in the study of Sankhya philosophy, whereas Vaishnava sannyasis are engaged in the study of Bhagavatam philosophy. So Mayavadi study this Vedanta and all that. And on Vedanta also, they don't study the natural commentary of Vedanta. What is natural commentary of Vedanta Sutra? That is Bhagavatam. So this Mayavadi study the commentary called Shariraka Bhashya, written by Adi Shankaracharya. And that commentary we see is different than what Bhagavatam is giving as the conclusion. So in that commentary, the understanding that the material world is just an illusion. In fact, bhakti is also eventually seen as illusion there. So that's why we see that this path where Jnana Yoga, they may be studying Vedanta and all that, but it's a path which is not that joyful path. No. It's the path where there is not a very nourishing engagement for the senses. So one has to just study and contemplate, and one has to be actually, yes, very pure for such a path. And even with such purity, finally what they achieve is only Brahman. They never achieve the Golok or Vaikuntha. So your destination is also in the sense not highest, and the path is also full of misery, full of distress, because it does not have very solid, satisfying engagement. This way, you can see the Mayavadi sannyasis engaged in the studies of Sankhya and Vedanta and speculation cannot relish the transcendental service of the Lord. Because their studies become sometimes very tedious. They become tired of Brahman speculation, and thus they take shelter of Bhagavatam. Sometimes you see these Mayavadis also, they want to do Bhagavat Katha because they are tired of studying Vedanta. It is not giving them much joy. Otherwise, why should they come to Bhagavatam? It is not their scripture. It is the scripture of Vaishnavas. So why are they coming here in Bhagavatam? So because they don't understand Bhagavatam also with proper understanding, so Prabhupada is saying their study of Bhagavatam also becomes troublesome. So it's a path which is very not that joyous. There is dukkham. So in these first 6 verses, Krishna has compared just mere renunciation of work, which is Jnana Yoga, to work in devotion. And he has concluded that work in devotion is better. Why work in devotion is better? Because it is easy to perform. It is also very safe. We see that it is safe also, right? Because those who take sannyas and leave, and if they are not able to control mind and senses, then it becomes mithyachar. But on the path of bhakti, even if somebody is lacking in control of mind and senses, there is a proper way, there is proper sadhana procedure by which one can slowly rise. And one can be situated accordingly in such an ashram which allows a certain sense engagement. On the path of Jnana Yoga, it's not possible. So That's why those paths are difficult and their goal is also finally not the highest. So, three reasons we spoke why Karma Yoga is higher than, or rather, is more preferred, is superior to Jnana Yoga. It is because Jnana Yoga is more difficult to perform, while Bhakti Yoga or Karma Yoga is very easy to perform. Secondly, it is safe. Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga is safe. And third, the destination that is achieved by Bhakti Yoga is also it is higher destination actually. It is not just merging in Brahman. So in this way, we see that this path is superior and Krishna is recommending this path. So Krishna will continue to speak now in the next verses from 7 to 12. He will speak. So you can see the sections in this chapter. For first 6 verses, Krishna is saying how Karma Yoga is equal but easier than renouncing work. Both of them are not different, but still Karma Yoga is superior because of these three reasons that we saw. So that is spoken in 1 to 6 verses. Now Krishna will describe Nishkam Karma Yogi in 7 to 12 verses. So this Nishkam Karma Yogi, let's see this in 7 to 12 verses now. Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma. Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriya Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma Kurvannapi na lipyate. Okay, yes, Prabhu, continue.
One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled.
Yeah. So, text 7. We are talking about Nishkam Karma Yoga, right? That's the context going on. Nishkam Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriya Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma Kurvan Napina Lipyat. So such a person who is working in devotion, one who works in devotion. So what happens? Because he is engaged, Yoga Yukto, so such a person becomes pure. And if one has purity, then naturally his mind and senses are completely in control. So such a person becomes very dear to everyone. Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma. Such a person becomes very dear to all the living entities. And Purvan Napina Lipyate, such a person, although he acts in this world, he does not cause any bondage. Prabhupada. One who is on the path of liberation by Krishna consciousness is actually very dear to every living being. And every living being is dear to him. This is due to his Krishna consciousness. Naturally, those who are devotees become dear to everyone, isn't it? And everyone becomes dear to him also. Of course, somebody is envious, then such people may not like devotees. But in general, if people are innocent, you see that they like devotees because a devotee is Adveshta Sarvabhutanam. He does not hate anyone, he is not inimical towards anyone. A devotee is not interested in gossiping and lobbying and so you see that in general a devotee, people know that this is a noble soul and he is actually not so much interested in politics and this and that. So genuinely, sometimes they may not speak, but they know within the heart that this is actually a genuine soul, because he is a man who lives with certain principle, God consciousness and all. You know, see, when I was working, for some time, I worked around 7 years. I worked in IT. So that time, I remember I was never any privy or any partisan of any politics and all that. I would remain very detached. I would just do my work, because I was never interested in uh, getting too much of huge money and like huge on-site opportunities and all that. Uh, Whatever basically I was getting, I was happy with that, because I had a plan also to eventually join only. So naturally, and there was not so much uh, pursuing very huge career or anything like that. I was happy with whatever good salary that I was getting. So oftentimes I used to see that if two parties have some tussle going on, no? So both of them would come to me to tell, you see, they would say, you see how they are doing at all. It's not good, no. You are impartial person. You can tell, right? You know. So seeing from impartial background, you can see that they are not good. And then the other party would also come and say that, see, you can see very clearly, this guy is doing politics, so he should not do and all that. So I would try to actually pacify both the parties and say that, you see, we have to work together. Don't do so much of lobbying and um, this way. So I remember one impression, and I'm sure like this experience must be with many of you. In fact, much better than me also. Your impression must be much better than me. So people always have this that, oh, this is actually Krishna devotee, so he's not interested so much into politics and all. So then people feel like talking. People feel like, okay, I can speak. Many times they would reveal their heart to me also, which they would not have done to others, because they are actually thinking that I will not exploit, I will not tell to other party, or I will not, sort of judge them in this way. This way. So I would try to then share some Krishna conscious principles, something from Bhagavad Gita, and that also they would appreciate then very much, like that. So two, three guys also became very favorable for bhakti. They started coming to temple, and then they picked up Krishna consciousness to some level, certainly. So what I'm trying to say is that the purity of heart will attract the people. Uh, so we see that we people are not very pure. Still, little bit of practice can attract the living entities for Krishna consciousness. So, what to speak of great pure people like spiritual master of Prabhupada and the acharyas. So you can see how much they can attract the conditioned souls to them, so as to make them into devotees of Krishna, hmm, this way. So, see this point here. योग युक्तो विशुद्धात्मा विजितात्मा जितेंद्रिया. तो देखो, विशुद्ध बनेंगे तो फिर सर्वभूतात्मा भूतात्मा बनेंगे. To the degree we are pure, to that degree actually you see that one will be able to uh, inspire people. People will see us as well wishers. To the degree we are pure in the heart, and we don't want to exploit anyone. We don't have any intentions of manipulation. To that degree, people will accept us as dear person that way. So that's how the devotee, the pure devotee, or an advanced devotee who works in devotion. So he becomes Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma. It's not that like Mayavadis, the meaning should not be taken as someone who becomes one with all living entities. Prabhupada points out that that's not the meaning. The meaning is such a person becomes dear to everyone, and every living being becomes dear to him. Uh, in Kleshagni Shubhada Moksha Laghutakrit Sudurlabha Sandranand Visheshatma Shri Krishna Karshini Chasa. These are 6 characteristics of bhakti. And that Shubhada aspect there, that Krishna consciousness bestows all auspiciousness. That also means this aspect, that the devotee becomes very dear to everyone. And everyone becomes dear to such a devotee this way. So, by manipulation and by all that, we may be able to, capture some people for some time. We may be able to influence people. But eventually, actually, purity of the heart is very attractive. If people see that this person's heart is free from envy, free from any manipulating tendency, you see that they will naturally get attracted. Uh, this is a very profound principle in bhakti. Vishuddhatma. Uh, Because one who works in Krishna consciousness is servant to all, is very dear to everyone. His nature, his service attitude, that will attract the people. His humility and, very approachable kind of nature, simplicity, and not being complicated in any way. Because he is pure in consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. Vishuddhatma means Vijitatma. And because his mind is controlled, his senses are controlled. That means Jitendriyaha. Because his mind is always fixed on Krishna, there is no chance of his being deviated from Krishna. So it's a nice connection that is given. Yoga Yukto means because he is engaged in service, so he starts becoming pure. So that purity basically means the purity of mind, and one also controls the senses. And because one does that, so one becomes very dear to people, very dear to everyone. Like how Prabhupada was very dear also. Prabhupada's interactions with some very, like people who were not even devotees, sometimes some gardener, some neighbor, or some police officer, or some jailer, some air hostess, some some people like that, and they would be so much. Prabhupada's interaction would be so much endearing. Uh, Similarly, we see spiritual masters also have that quality. They are so endearing, isn't it? So that's why this is an important point to know. One may ask why then Arjuna was offensive to others. Wasn't he in Krishna consciousness? Well, Prabhupada says Arjuna was only superficially offensive because, what he was doing was actually going to bestow benefit only to the soldiers on the battlefield. So, in general, a devotee wants to do good only to everyone. But sometimes that good may be in terms of something like what Arjuna is doing, where Arjuna had to fight and cure their disease. Like a doctor, sometimes he may have to cut open your body if he has to operate something. So someone may say, oh, he's actually causing violence to me by cutting open the body for whatever surgery is needed. But it's not violence, no. It's actually to cure the disease. So that's how it is sometimes painful if devotees or like that, they correct us, chastise us. It is like that operation. So it is not that they are being offensive to us or they are troubling us. No, it is like that doctor who is doing some surgery so that eventually we can become free from the disease. This way. So that's the point. So such a devotee who is Nishkam Karma Yogi, when he acts, how does he act? That is being spoken now. Especially a Nishkam Karma Yogi. Not so much a devotee, but this is talking about Nishkam Karma Yogi. नैव किंचित करोमीति युक्तो मन्येत तत्ववित् पश्यन् शृण्वन् स्पृशन् जिघ्रन् अश्नन् गच्छन् स्वपन् श्वसन् प्रलपन् विसृजन् गृह्णन् उन्मिषन् निमिषन्नपि इन्द्रियाणि इन्द्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्त इति धारयन्. Yes, Prabhu.
A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them.
Yeah. So it is interesting verse. Uh, somebody who is acting on the platform of Nishkam Karma Yoga, such a person, although he is acting, he never becomes attached to the fruit of the action or does not consider himself as the doer of the action. And that's why he is not bound by the karma. So he thinks like naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavit. Such Nishkam Karma Yogi, although he is doing all the activities, but his consciousness is actually the spirit soul. I am not doing it. The spirit soul is not doing it, but this is because of some impression, some vasana from my previous life. So this whole apparatus of mind and body and senses and modes, that is what they are doing it. Modes are acting. Guna guneshu vartanta iti matvana sajjate. He considers that the senses are interacting with basically the objects made by the modes. So he sees himself detached from the actions that he is doing. That's why one is not bound by the actions. If you want to apply this verse to the devotees, so as far as devotees is concerned, he sees that this is material body and I am utilizing it in Krishna's service. So let me use it in Krishna's service. Body is given by Krishna, given by material nature, and I should use it in Krishna's service. So he also does not have that doership kind of mentality. And Nishkam Karma Yogi also does not have doership mentality. So the difference between doership mentality is there. Nishkam Karma Yogi does not think himself to be doer because whatever is happening, he considers that it is interaction of mind, senses, and the modes. This is what he thinks. And a bhakta also does not consider himself to be the doer of the activities because he considers that, well, everything is given by Krishna, material nature. She is also under uh, Krishna's instruction. So whatever I am doing, basically I am doing it for the sake of service of Krishna. Whatever he is hearing or seeing or touching or eating, that he sees as service to Krishna. For the pleasure of Krishna, he wants to do it. So this is why such a person, he does not get bound. Here it's more talked about Nishkam Karma Yogi. That's why Indriyani Indriyartheshu. The senses are engaging or interacting with sense objects. This is what he considers, and that's why he remains detached, although he is acting in this world. So that's Nishkam Karma Yogi. A person in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so when these actions are talked about, so you can see these first 5 actions that are talked about: seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, and eating. These are the activities of Jnanendriyas. Uh, these are the activities of knowledge acquiring senses. Okay. And then further 5 more, they are the activities of the working senses. What are they? Gachan, going, pralapan, speaking, visrajan, which means evacuating, and grihnan, sorry, which means holding. So holding by hand or speaking by speech, um, walking by the feet, and evacuating by evacuating organs, and holding grinnan. Uh, these are 5 working senses. Uh, hands, legs, a mouth, anus, and genitals. These are the working senses. So those 5 are also described. Previously, these are the actions by 5 knowledge acquiring senses, that is eyes, ears, nose, skin, and tongue. Uh, then swapan and shvasan. Shvasan, breathing, is an act of the 5 main airs in the body: pran, apan, udan, vyan, saman. Uh, that's breathing is an act of those. Uh, Unmishan, nimishan, the eyes closing and opening, the eyelids, unmishan, nimishan. So this opening up and closing up of the eyes, so we see that it is considered to be the function of the secondary pranas, Naga, Kurma, Dhananjaya, and all those. There are 10 pranas. So the secondary pranas, they cause the opening of eyes and closing of eyes. And finally, one, swapan, sleep. It is said that that is the function of mind, like that. Mind controls the aspect of sleep. So in this way, all these activities, karma, nishkam karma yogi sees that these are interactions of knowledge acquiring senses, jnanendriyas, working senses, karmendriyas, and the subtle body and the pranas and all that. So when he is acting, he basically does not consider himself to be the doer, but he sees that this whole system of senses and all is acting because of my previous karma and vasanas. But I am spirit soul, I am different from this. So in this way, he remains detached. A person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence and consequently has nothing to do with any work. So Bhakta also, he does not consider himself to be the doer, right? In material consciousness, the senses are engaged in sense gratification. But in Krishna consciousness, the senses are engaged in the satisfaction of Krishna's senses. The Krishna conscious person is always free, even though he appears to be engaged in affairs of the senses. So Bhakta always considered himself to be acting under the instruction of Krishna's servants, and thereby he gives all credit to Krishna and his devotees and never considers himself to be the doer. So he remains free from the bondage, just as Karma Yogi also remains free from bondage because of such kind of consciousness, that I am different from this body. ब्रह्मण्याधाय कर्माणि संगम त्यक्त्वा करोति यः लिप्यते न स पापेन पद्मपत्रमिवाम्भसा. Yes.
One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results onto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water.
Yeah. So ब्रह्मण्याधाय कर्माणि संगम त्यक्त्वा करोति. So such a devotee, what happens is, in his case, we see that this Nishkam Karma Yogi or devotee, so he is never ever touched by any papa or even punya. He remains basically transcendental to karma. Papena also means punyana here. Such a person is not touched by any karma. Because what does he do? He offers all the activities unto the Supreme Lord. Or he considers that all these activities are done by transformation of Pradhan, by this body and subtle body and everything. So without any attachment, he keeps on working. That's why he is said to be not touched by any karma. And very nice example Krishna gives, Padma Patram Ibam Bhasa. Just as you have seen the lotus leaf, it is never touched by the water. Right? Lotus leaf on its surface has some certain oils. It's an oily surface, so because of which the water cannot touch. The water can touch, but it won't stay. That's the point. It won't survive there. It would slip off, or it would, basically it remains in the form of drops. It can't wet the lotus leaf. So lotus leaf remains untouched by water, although in water. So similarly, such a person who is working in devotion, he is never touched by the karma, by the bondage. So we have to learn to be like this. We have to learn to be like a lotus leaf which is untouched by water. In this world, you will have to work with people who are non-Krishna conscious. They are not devotees, or sometimes they may be antagonistic to the devotee community or devotional service. So in this world, a lot of things are there, but we have to learn to act in a way that we remain like lotus leaf untouched by water. So we remain very strong, steadfast in our bhakti. Although we are staying in the material world, so many things we have to deal, propaganda, everything. But if we keep our battery charged in the morning by sadhana, by taking good association, by hearing Prabhupada's words, by hearing Guru Maharaj's words, so then throughout the day we will be able to keep ourselves like this, lotus leaf untouched by the water. So the point is, we take so much in the morning, our day should start in such a way that we create a sort of shield around us, right? When I was a child, there was this famous advertisement of Chavanprash, Dabur Chavanprash. I think even now it's there. The Chavanprash is there, the ad is there or not, I don't know. So I used to see that in that ad, a child who eats Dabur Chavanprash in morning and goes to school later, then in the school somebody is sneezing, achchi, is sneezing. And then what happens? Around this person, some aura comes. It's a protective shield because he's eating Chavanprash. So that sneezing is not affecting him. So, like that, we should have some shield around us when we go outside in the material world. Uh, our office colleagues or our whatever, and number of people that we deal with, and they may be materialistic people, so they may be sneezing also, meaning they may be influencing us with a lot of their ideas, but we remain with that protective shield. We don't get influenced by those ideas. We don't feel like we are losing so much in bhakti. We gave up chai chhod diya, coffee chhod di, pyaz lasan tak chhudwa diya. We can't eat anything outside. We don't eat anything outside. So we don't feel like that, provided we are having a strong sadhana and we are taking good association. We are keeping a good company. We are hearing regularly. We are reading Prabhupada books. Then we will remain Padma Patram Ivam Bhasa. Uh, if we don't do these things, then we'll not be Padma Patra. Then we will become, we'll become sponge. So as soon as you put water in sponge, uh, you put the sponge in water, it will take all the water. पूरा भर भर के ले लिया. uh, it has sucked in all the water. Uh, so we should not be like sponge. We should be like Padma Patra, uh, lotus leaf. So very beautiful analogy Krishna has given, isn't it? Uh, so that's the point. Here Brahmani means in Krishna consciousness. Uh, so one who is in Krishna consciousness, such a person, we see that he remains transcendental. Uh, because for him, everything is for Krishna's service. So he is not so much disturbed by anything. The conclusion is that a person without Krishna consciousness acts according to the concept of material body and senses, but a person in Krishna consciousness acts according to the knowledge that the body is the property of Krishna and should therefore be engaged in service of Krishna. So this is the aspect. So world will continue, the influence of world will continue. So much of social media now, that's one of the challenges, right? More than the people around us, uh, this device, mobile, which is with us, that's the greatest influencer now, right? If one is not careful, if one is taking too much association of social media and YouTube and Insta and all that. So sitting at one place without taking anybody's association, sitting in one room, one can be influenced by entire propaganda of the world. That's the glory of postmodern technology, uh, isn't it? So we see that children and all, how they get influenced, right? They don't have to go anywhere. You just give them the mobile, the entire garbage of the world will come in them. Uh, their ideas will start getting changed. The way they think, the way they see, everything will change. Uh, that's how this social media is very, very influential. So that's why, yeah, we save our generation, we save our children and further generations from such undesirable influences. They should know whatever is needed, but yeah, we should also put an alert that so many things there are most undesirable. Uh, we don't want such things to influence the minds of the younger generations and even older generation. Sometimes I am traveling in these trains and the old guys, they are also continue watching some reels on YouTube and all. So then sometimes I strike conversation with them, and he becomes like so desperate to go back to his reels and all that. He feels like why Baba is not leaving me. Baba is talking to me. Arey bas ho gaya, chhod do abhi, let me watch the reels. Uh, so you see that, yeah, it's very, very influential. Padma Patram Ivam Bhasa. That's how we want to be. कायेन मनसा बुद्ध्या केवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति संगम त्यक्त्वात्मशुद्धये. Yes. Yes, bro, two more verses and this section gets over. Then somebody else can read.
The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with the body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification.
Yeah. So in this way, these karma yogis act. You can see. They act by their kayera manasa buddhya. They use intelligence, body, mind. Kevalayir indriyairapi, and also the pure senses. So all these yogis, by utilizing all these, God-given resources, they do the karma, they perform the karma. Sangam tyaktva, giving up the attachment to any fruits of action. Atma shuddhe, for the purpose of purification. So Nishkam Karma Yogi acts for the purpose of purification, so that he can realize that I am not body, I am spirit, soul. And Krishna's devotee, he also acts for the purpose of purification and also pleasure of Krishna. It's not just Atma Shuddhi there. Atma Shuddhi and Krishna Priti also. The desire to please Krishna is there in him. So that's how uh, devotee is different than Nishkam Karma Yogi in that sense. But yes, the fact is that both of them work. Iha yasya harer dasye karmana manasa gira nikhilasvapyavasthasu jivan mukta sa uchyate. So somebody who is utilizing all his mind, senses, uh, body, speech, if one is utilizing it in serving the Lord, Harer Dasye, so then in all situations, if one is utilizing his body, speech, words, actions, and mind, everything in Krishna's service, then such a person is known as Jivan Mukta. He is liberated while living in this world, this way. So, devotees in this way want to utilize everything in Krishna's service, like that. If one becomes pure, no, at that level, even though one is living in this world, one can be liberated. At the level of Bhava Bhakti or Prema Bhakti, you know what happens? All the attachment of the heart, they go away. And although one is living in this body, still he is liberated. That is called Jivan Mukta. And just like that coconut example. So there is coconut, when it gets dried, no, the coconut pulp inside becomes completely detached from the shell. And if you shake it, it can sound actually. It can make a sound, gada, 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 like that. What has happened? You know, when you have a raw coconut, fresh coconut, so we see that the pulp and the shell, they are like very strongly attached to each other. But when it becomes extremely dried coconut, then what happens? The copra that becomes, the coconut pulp that becomes detached completely from the shell. So similarly, this example is given actually to explain Jivan Mukta. That one may be staying within the body, but the soul becomes detached from the body. And it is like the coconut pulp separated from the shell. So shell is the body and soul is being compared to that cobra, that cobra, which we call it, right? Coconut pulp. So it becomes completely detached from the body. One is living in this body, but one is liberated. So for such person, one has to just then, he will give up the body and attain spiritual body and live to go back to the spiritual world this way. So the beginning of that process is everything we want to serve in Krishna, we want to utilize in Krishna's service. Our body, mind, intelligence, words, life, wealth, manasa deha geha jo kichu more. Arpilu tuam pade nanda kishore. So that's how. So what is the result of such a life that's mentioned in this verse, which is ending this section? Yuktah karma phalam tyaktva shantimapnoti naishtikim ayuktah kamakarena phale sakto nibhadyate. Yes, Prabhu.
The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled.
So two people are compared. One who gives up the karma phala, another who does not give up the karma phala. Yuktaha ayuktaha. Yuktaha means one who is engaged in Nishkam Karma Yoga. Ayuktaha means one who is not engaged in Nishkam Karma Yoga, meaning he is engaged in Sakam Karma or just outrightly sinful person. Uh, so Yuktaha means he is connected to the Supreme Lord through Nishkam Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. Such person, he gives up the attachment to fruits of action and thus he achieves a steady peace. Shanti mapnoti naishtikim. But if somebody does not offer the fruits to Krishna, instead he himself is attached to the fruits, so such a person, then we see that he gets bound. So for one, the the result is bondage. For another, the result is freedom from the bondage and, eternal peace, steady shanti, naishtiki shanti. That's the point. The person who is attached to Krishna and works for him only is certainly a liberated person and he has no anxiety. But for the other person, there is full of anxiety. That's it. That's all. That's the point of this verse. Okay. So that completes the second section of this chapter, which is description of Nishkam Karma Yoga. So Krishna, he spoke in the first section how Karma Yoga is and Jnana Yoga, they are same, but then still Karma Yoga is more recommended. Karma Yoga is easier. Karma Yoga is Vishesh. And then that's why he continues to describe this Nishkam Karma Yogi. Now, after this, he describes actually that how, when one is acting like this, then in what way, his relationship between Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, that is being described here. So in next section, Krishna describes the interaction of Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti. Who is the door? Who is the doer? कर्ता कौन है? ये अगले 13 से लेकर 16 श्लोकों में वर्णन किया है. So I will at least take till 16 today, and then rest of the 13 verses I think we'll complete tomorrow. But before that, are there any questions on what we discussed? So I can pause here and take any question if you want. Then we will take this 4 more verses, 13, 14, 15, 16. Like that. Any question on what we discussed till verse 12? Okay, then no questions, so we go ahead. Sarvakarmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. Yes. Someone else can read now. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Guruji Dhanapna.
Dhanvat Pranam Prabhu, please read.
When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you. Sarvakarmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. So for such a person who is working with such consciousness, Nishkam Karma Yogi, so we see that for him, this person, Sarva Karmani Sanyasya, giving up attachment to all the fruits of the action, he stays in this body very, very happily, Sukham. Vashi, meaning one who is controlled. He is not uncontrolled person. He is a very controlled person. Naiva kurvanna karayan, and such a person is not performing any activity or he is not causing anyone to perform any activity. Meaning, such a person, he does not create any karma on his own, or he does not cause any karma for others. He basically remains transcendental, although he is doing the activities. Navadware pure dehi. In this city of 9 gates called body. Body has 9 holes, Navadwar. So that's why it is considered a city of 9 gates. So such a person who is working with this consciousness, we see that he is not bound by any action. He does not create any karma for himself, or he does not cause any karma towards others. Such a person. So we see that this aspect is there. So Prabhupada quotes a similar verse from another place also. Navadvare pure dehi hamso lela yate vahihi vashi sarvasya lokasya sthavarasya charasya cha. So it's mentioned here. Okay, this is from Shvetashvatar Upanishad. Yeah. So Prabhu, you can also read this translation of Shvetashvatar Upanishad.
Yes, Prabhuji. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is living within the body of living entity, is the controller of all living entities all over the universe. The body consists of 9 gates, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 mouth, the anus, and the genitals. The living entity in his conditioned stage identifies himself with the body, but when he identifies himself with the Lord within himself, he becomes just as free as the Lord, even while in the body. Shvetashvatar Upanishad 3.18. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Thank you. So you can see that uh, as soon as the living entity identifies himself with the Lord as the servant of the Lord, then such a person becomes as free as the Lord. Vashi, he becomes also like the Supreme Lord. Free in the sense that such a person will not generate any karma, he'll not be bound by the karma. Not that we become as powerful as the Lord. No, Krishna will be Krishna always. We will be servant of Krishna, but we become free from the bondage aspect. That's what is being told over here. So that's what. So it's basically in continuation with the last verse only. Now from this verse, there is new topic. न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि लोकस्य सृजति प्रभुः न कर्मफल संयोगम स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते.
The embodied
Yes.
spirit, the embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you. So, you see, this particular 14, 15, and 16 verses, they're bringing up the topic of who is the doer exactly? Who is the karta? So, if someone acts, exactly who is the karta, the subject or the agent of the action, as they call it? So, there are multiple agents of the action. If we see that the soul is the karta, if we call soul as karta, uh, like suppose somebody does some crime. So now, if we are analyzing it philosophically, who performed the crime exactly? Uh, Is it that the soul performed the crime? But then the soul will do only spiritual activity. How can soul do some material activity? Uh, So how is that the soul created or did the crime of, whatever, some sort of crime, like stealing or something? So has the soul committed crime? So soul is spiritual, how it can act materially? has the body committed the crime? But the body is dead. Gross body or subtle body is dead. So how can it perform the activity? Has Paramatma performed that activity of stealing? No. Why should Paramatma steal? No. Right? The responsibility lies with the Jivatma. So, has material nature done that crime or action because she is the one who gave the body? No, she might have given the body, but then point is, who is controlling the body? Uh, so Jivatma is controlling the body. That is his kshetra, isn't it? Kshetrajna, kshetrajna. So just as a farmer may control the land, similarly the Jivatma is controlling this body. That's his land. Not complete control, but good control. If he could have controlled completely, then there won't be any disease in the body. Then one would be right. One would be always healthy. But the very fact that we are not able to control our body also, that's how body falls sick. Body is growing older, and it will eventually fall apart. We'll have to move to the next destination. So, who is actually the doer? That remains a question in Vedanta, in Bhagavad Gita, and all that. So, Krishna, later in 18th chapter, he answered this by saying there are 5 factors of action. Adhishtanam tatha karta, karanam cha prathak vidham, vividhascha prathak cheshta, daivatra panchamam. So Krishna says that there are 5 factors of action. You can see this is Adhishtanam. Adhishtanam tatha karta, karanam cha prathak vidham, vividhascha prathak cheshta, daivam chaivatra panchamam. The place of action, that is the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. These are all the 5 factors of action. In any action, you see that there are 5 things involved. There is the body itself, right? Then the jiva, one who is performing, he is one of the factors, the living entity. Then the senses themselves, senses are also, our body is the total, but sense, a particular sense, like hand or leg or whatever. The many different kinds of endeavor, the endeavor that the living entity takes, and finally the super soul also. Unless until Paramatma sanctions, things will not happen, right? So he is also considered to be the action, the one of the factors of action. So then, who performed the crime when we say certain crime is performed? So who should be blamed? So Shastras say that material nature has provided body and Krishna gives sanction, Paramatma gives sanction. Fine. But the main responsibility of any wrongdoing that goes to the jiva because he is the one who is desiring it. So because jiva desires, then Paramatma sanctions it and material nature allows him to do it. Body and the modes, and they allow him to do it. So you see that it all begins with the desire of the jiva. So you see in Bhagavad Gita, different times, different factors of action would be stressed. Like when you want to, like if somebody is becoming very proud I did it. I am the best. So that time you speak that actually the credit goes to Paramatma, because unless he sanctions, how will this happen? Uh, that factor is there because he has given the body. He is practically allowing the body to work. Uh, literally. Actually, Jivatma is just like a passenger. Uh, driver of the car of the body is not Jivatma. That is Paramatma actually. Uh, although in our basic sessions we speak like that, car and the body. But actually, soul is passenger in the body, not so much the driver. Driver is Paramatma actually, in the sense that the Paramatma seeing the desire of the Jiva and whether he has that karma to fulfill that desire. Paramatma is actually causing all the actions and everything. But because of the desire of the Jiva, it's the point. He is allowing those things to happen because that's what Jivatma is desiring. So, okay, he says, fine, you want to do it, you do it. I give the power by which you can do it. No problem. So, in that sense, I'm saying that he is the driver. Because otherwise, Jivatma can only desire. What can he do? He cannot control the body himself. Only when Paramatma allows him to control, then he will be able to control. Uh, so, this is why when you want to talk about the credit aspect, so if I am taking all the credit, then scriptures remind us no, Paramatma is actually the one who is empowering you, allowing you to act. So, don't become proud. If the Jivatma is doing some wrongdoing and says that, oh, Paramatma is doing the thing, what is my blame? Why should I be blamed? Then scriptures say, no, you are to be blamed because you desired it. Because of your desire, Paramatma is actually fulfilling that. Uh, so you see how the who is the door is being changed based on the perspective. And sometimes Jivatma who thinks that, you know, I am the one who is controller of everything. I am the one who is controller of body and all. So at such times, the modes are the controller or material nature is controller is told. Like in third chapter also we saw that. Prakriti kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasya. Ahankar vimudhatma kartaham iti manyat. Everything is worked out by the modes, but the poor conditioned soul thinks I am the doer. So now there, who is being called as doer? Actually, modes are being called as doers. And who owns the modes? Durga Devi owns the modes. Maya Devi, material nature. So basically, material nature is being called as doer there. So you see, sometimes material nature is called as doer of the action. Sometimes Paramatma, sometimes Jivatma. But you have to remember, the point is here that Jivatma desires, Paramatma sanctions, material nature executes. That's the trilogy. So it begins with Jivatma's desire, root. That's why he is considered to be responsible that way. But he is not the only responsible thing, because then he will think that I am the doer, I am the one, I should get all the credit. No, there is so much of it done by Paramatma and then material nature also. So there are various perspectives in this manner. So if one is doing something wrong, then one should know that actually because of my desire only, this material nature and Paramatma, they are providing like that. So I am to be blamed. But if one is doing something wonderful, he should think that actually Paramatma is empowering, Paramatma is giving that energy and intelligence. So he deserves the credit. I don't deserve the credit. So that's the way to look at it, not the other way around where something bad happens. There was one case in Mumbai. before some 40 years it happened that one of the criminals, he shot dead a person. And then in the court, he was arguing. He knew Gita, somehow Bhagavad Gita he knew, and he was arguing to the judge that actually I am not the doer. Uh, I never did this crime. This crime was done by material nature, Paramatma. They are the ones to be blamed. I am not to be blamed. It was interesting. It happened like that. And then the lawyers, they had to study Bhagavad Gita, you know, and the judge also studied Bhagavad Gita. And then he said, no, no, this is a bogus argument that this person is giving. That's not the right understanding. And then when they understood, they also, argued back and smashed his idea. So interesting. Na kartrutvam na karmani lokasya srujati prabhu. So we see that the living entity, embodied spirit, is said to be not the doer, or it's not creating the fruits of action. So this is spoken in the sense of he's actually just a passenger. But his desire is very, very important. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. So you see, here it is more from this angle that Jivatma just by his own cannot do anything. He can only desire. But the modes have to be there, material nature has to be there, Paramatma has to sanction. Then we see, then such a person is able to do something like that. So that's the कर्तृत्व बोलते हैं इसको. कर्तृत्व मतलब कर्ता कौन है? Who is the karta? That discussion is this. So you saw that all three are kartas. Paramatma is karta, material nature also, and the living entity also. Or in the 18th chapter, I showed you that was 5 factors of action. So in that also, senses and all that goes under material nature, and the Jivatma that is there, so that is living entity, and Daivam is Paramatma. So it is also the same thing only. 5 factors are basically 3 factors only, because the senses and the body and the efforts, that all goes under material nature. This way. Some of it under material nature, some of it under the Jivatma. But it's basically 3 factors. That's all. They can sometimes be described as 5 factors also. Okay, 2 more verses and we'll pause. Nadatte kasyachit papam na shaivam sukrutam vibhuhu ajnane navrutam jnanam tena mohyanti jantavaha. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied being, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge.
Yeah. So it was said in the last verse that Jivatma is not the cause of creating activities or creating his fruits of action and all. Means that he is not the only cause. He certainly desires, but there are so many other factors like material nature. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activity. And Vibhu or Krishna or Paramatma, he is certainly not the cause of any sinful or pious activities, right? Obviously. He only fulfills the Jivatma's desire as per their karma. But he is not the cause. So Jivatma is not the cause, and Lord is also not said to be the cause. You understand what it means is they are not the only causes. And you can't dump everything on Paramatma. And similarly, at Jivatma, you can't take credit of everything. No. Paramatma has his role, Jivatma has his role, material nature has her role. So primarily because living entities are bewildered by the ignorance. So that's why we see that they act mindlessly in this world. They act under this knowledge, and because of which it causes bondage. So that ignorance is the fault of the jiva only, Uh, that bewilderment and all. That jiva cannot blame someone else for that, because that ignorance that he has, that is his own lack of knowledge. This way. So that is why Lord is not to be blamed also for this. The Lord is omnipotent, which means Vibhu, but the living entity is not. The Lord is Vibhu, living entity is Anu. Always remember these two terms, Vibhu and Anu. Vibhu means all powerful, omniscient, and Anu means infinitesimal, atomic, and with limited knowledge, limited energy, this way. Because he is a living soul, he has the capacity to desire by his free will. Jivatma. Such desire is fulfilled only by the omnipotent Lord. So same aspect. This 3 points trilogy you can explain. You can remember. Jivatma desires, Paramatma sanctions, material nature executes. And that's why these three factors are considered to be very important. Desire is a subtle form of conditioning for the living entity. The Lord fulfills his desire as he deserves. It's not that Krishna will fulfill any desire. He will only see if the person has karma to fulfill that desire, then only he will. Otherwise, anyone may desire anything, right? Jivatma may feel like, I should have 1 billion rupees. But does he have the enough karma? So if he doesn't have, then the Lord does not fulfill that desire. And he has to work for that desire to be get fulfilled. So in this way, ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानं येषां नाशितम् आत्मनः तेषाम् आदित्यवत् ज्ञानं प्रकाशयति तत्परम्. Yes, Prabhu.
When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, when his knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So, jnanena, so that's why when this ajnana, this ignorance of the living entities, it is removed by the jnana, then we see that just like sun lights up everything, so then search for living entity, the knowledge of the Lord reveals everything. So it's that's why it is very, very important. Knowledge is always highly esteemed. And what is that knowledge? Perfect knowledge is achieved when one surrenders unto Krishna. Bahunam janmanam jnanavan mam prapadyate. So we see that that's actually perfection of all knowledge. So when living entity surrenders unto Krishna, that's the ultimate, you can say, conclusion of all knowledge. And when that happens, then we see that the living entity stops all the desires which are material desires, and just serves Krishna, by which there is no further bondage. Like that. This way. So that's the point. So for all this purpose, the need of spiritual master is there. Prabhupada speaks about it, that one needs the guidance of spiritual master. Then one understands this truth. But basically, the basic purpose of this section 14, 15, 16 is to talk about kartrutva. Who is the doer? Is Paramatma the doer? Is material nature the doer? Or is the living entity doer? Karta kaun hai? Who is the subject or action, agent of an action? So we talked about how all three of them are. So depending on the perspective, we see that. But finally, Jivatma's desire is the root, because of which we see that Paramatma and material nature, they act in a certain way, this way. So now, in the next section, Krishna will explain the vision of a jnani, and finally he will start introducing the next topic, which is dhyana yoga, and the famous peace formula will come in the last verse. So there are about 13 verses more, so which we try to finish in tomorrow's session, 1 hour. And then I'll also begin the next chapter, which is 6th chapter. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Is there any question or anything you want to ask on this? Session is over. So you wish to ask anything on any topic? Okay then. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.